So this is lecture 3, genetically modified crops, and we are now discussing how the risk associated with these crops is being assessed. So this is the usual disclaimer. It is meant for you, not be used, should not be used for any other purpose, copied or posted on any site without the permission of the author, that is me. And some of the pictures in the presentation may have been taken from public domain websites to make the topic easy to understand, and the credit for such pictures remain with the original publisher. All right, so we were discussing allergenicity, whether the newly expressed protein is an allergen, right? This is what we wanted to know. And I said we make extensive use of bioinformatics. The two most commonly used, what you can say, sequence comparison method, the newly expressed protein in the crop of our choice, its amino acid sequence is matched with the amino acid sequence in the given database. Okay, and there are two most common methods. One is using algorithm FASTA. FASTA is the name of algorithm. So Allergen Online is a database. It's a dedicated database. It contains amino acid sequence of proteins which are known to be allergic, which are known to cause allergy. Okay, so it is being maintained by University of Nebraska. So this Allergen Online database, using FASTA's algorithm, what do? You try and match the amino acid sequence of the protein of your interest, the protein that has been newly expressed in the crop plant of your interest, with the amino acid sequence of proteins in this Allergen Online database. Okay, and what we look for? We look for important, more than 50% overall identity, means more than 50% sequence matching. The sequence of amino acid sequence of the protein, newly expressed protein, and any of the protein in the database, if they show more than 50% sequence matching, then it is a cause of concern. Or we go for E-score of less than 10 into 10 to the power minus 7. Very low E-score. We look for this E-score, right? And then second, which is more stringent, what is being done is using the same algorithm FASTA. What is being done? We scan every 80 amino acid window of the protein of our interest, the newly expressed protein, with the amino acid sequence of proteins in the database. 80 amino acid window means what is being done is, it takes the software takes 1 to 80 amino acids, then 2 to 81, then 3 to 82, then 4 to 83, then 5 to 84. Every 80 amino acid window of the amino acid sequence of the newly expressed protein is matched with 80 amino acid with the amino acid sequence of proteins in the database. So this is a more stringent, what you can say, matching that is being done. And what we'll look for over there, we'll look for more than 35% identity. If you see, when you go for this kind of a scanning, if you see that any of the protein in the database is matching more than 35% with the newly expressed protein, then it is a cause of concern. Now let us understand this taking one example. Golden rice 2, as I mentioned in my last lecture, it contains 3 different genes. I showed you the picture also. It contains phytoin synthase, PSY, abbreviated as PSY, phytoin synthase. And what is the source of the gene? The source of the gene is Z-maize. That means corn or maize, jisko अपन बोलते हैं, right? Or these are the numbers and notations. Then the second gene is carotene desaturase, CRTI, from a bacteria, E. uridophora, right? This is from a bacteria, carotene desaturase. And then there is a marker gene, phosphomanol isomerase, PMI in short. This is a marker gene, right? And it is also obtained from E. coli. So it contains 3 genes. Now let us undertake the allergen testing. Okay, so what is being done? What we are trying to do is full sequence length FASTA search. Using FASTA as the software, as an algorithm, what we'll do, we'll try and match the entire amino acid sequence of the newly expressed protein one by one with the amino acid sequences in the database. And we will look for what? More than 50% identity. Whether the newly expressed protein shows 50% or more than 50% identity sequence similarity with any of the proteins in the database. And what is the database that we are using? Allergen Online. Then second, we'll be doing 80 amino acid sliding window. As I mentioned, as I explained to you in the last slide, every 80 amino acid window of the newly expressed protein is going to be matched using the same software with the amino acid sequence of proteins in the database. And we'll be looking for what? We'll be looking for more than 35% identity. And then we can go for a generalized database, NCBI protein sequence database, which contains sequences of both allergic as well as non-allergic proteins. And since the number of sequences are very high in the database, you can use the delimiter. You can make use of the delimiter word allergen. So that means only those proteins which are likely to cause allergy will be listed, will be matched. And then the algorithm can be BLAST-P. Okay, so what is being done? So what do you do if you have done some bioinformatics experiments? So you must be knowing. So how do we BLAST? So this is the amino acid sequence of phytoin synthase. As I said earlier, it is obtained from Z-maze. This is the amino acid sequence. Every single letter designates one amino acid. So total number of amino acids in the phytoin synthase is 410. So you get this amino acid sequence. So you have sequenced the protein, expressed protein. You know the nucleotide sequence, you know the reading frame, you know the amino acid sequence. So this is the amino acid sequence. And what do? You paste this amino acid sequence in that software and then give the command so that it will match. So it matches and it gives you the results. And the results are given in this particular form. The top 5 matches. The top 5 scoring alignments of known or putative allergens in the database Allergen Online compared to PSY, phytoin synthase, using FASTA full sequence length search are shown in this table. Okay, so these are the 5 top matches. It gives you the sequence, what is its number in the database, what is the organism, okay, what is its description in short, what is its length in terms of amino acids, and what is the E-score. As I said, E-score is very important. So we are looking for a low E-score, 10 to the power minus 7, right? It gives you percent identity and amino acid alignments, right? Now E-score of less than 10 to the power minus 7 is considered, 10 to the power minus 7 is considered significant. And whatever E-scores we are seeing here, they are very high E-scores. They are nowhere close to the 10 to the power minus 7. So indicating what? And please remember, these are the top 5 matches. The top 5 do not show, they are not anywhere near to the 10 to the power minus 7 figure. So जो remaining होंगे वो तो और ज़्यादा होंगे, right? Indicating what? For a beginner like you, for a beginner like me also for that matter, this is important that we look for E-score. If the E-score is low, 10 to the power minus 7 है उसके आसपास अगर है तो हमको जो है it is a cause of concern. But here the top 5 matches do not show the E-score even anywhere close to the 10 to the power minus 7, indicating that this phytoin synthase, is not a putative allergen. Then using that 80 amino acid sliding window and FASTA as the algorithm, they matched it. And what is the result? Using FASTA, no alignment of more than 35% identity with any of the possible 80 amino acid windows over the entire sequence was recorded. Result कुछ भी नहीं आ रहा, nil आ रहा. Result is nil because no alignment of more than 35% identity was detected. So these two indicate prima facie that phytoin synthase is not likely to cause allergy, is not an allergen. Okay, अगर यहाँ पर doubt है, then we go for the serum testing, right? The next that comes is toxicological studies. So food ingredients, particularly when we talk of genetically modified food crops, so a lot of ingredients in the food that we consume, they may be toxic. Food additives, food colors. There may be pesticide residues in the food that you are consuming, vegetables you are consuming. The sweets you consume, they look colorful, but the kind of color they are using, they may be toxic. Okay. Similarly, grains from GM crops. So whatever protein that comes from the GM plant, whole grain, both needs to be evaluated. Whole grain needs to be evaluated, and the protein part of needs to be evaluated. Now, grains from the food crops, here the codex approach we follow, but slightly modified. CSE guidelines we follow. Foods are generally considered safe, but absolute safety, as I said earlier also, is difficult to establish. Takeoff point is what? Substantial equivalence. Equivalence with what? With the non-GM. Whether the food that has been obtained, the grains that have been obtained from a GM crop, they are as safe as the non-GM. Objective is to establish that the food from GM plant is as safe as the conventional counterpart, that means non-GM. So if you can establish this, and how can you establish? You can establish this by comparing the proximates, means uske nutrients, anti-nutrients, vitamins, minerals, biomolecules, protein, lipids, fatty acids. Ye sara, more than 150 parameters are compared. And if you see that there is no change in the composition, proximate analysis, then you can say, and then you go for animal studies also. So we will see one by one. So this is how it is being done. So you characterize the food, protein, history of safe use, and comparison with the non-GM isogenic parental line. Non-GM parental line से compare करेंगे GM crop को. In terms of composition analysis and agronomic characters. These are the so in each of these composition also I said 150 different parameters are there, and agronomic characters also lots of traits are there, and which are compared with the non-GM. Then we go for toxicological studies and using rats, rodents, subchronic rodent dietary feeding studies in rats. And the study, it lasts for about 90 days. And after feeding the rats with the GM and taking non-GM as control, rats which are fed with the non-GM crop, non-GM grain, they are being used as control. What do? You go for biochemistry, different organs, hematology, histopathology. You sacrifice the rats and see the histopathology of different organs, whether there are any substantial changes when they are fed with the GM crop, GM food, organ weight, etc. All these extensively done, all this data is recorded, and then it is submitted. And as I said, the control is the non-GM same crop plant or same food grain. Third is nutritional equivalence. So broiler chicken, they are found to be very sensitive to the nutrition that they are fed upon. So any change in their diet, in their nutrition, is reflected in their weight, is reflected in the test of the flesh. So these nutritional equivalence studies are done using broiler chicken, which lasts for 42 days. Okay, these chicken are rapidly growing species and sensitive to change nutrition. And then we determine whether when they are fed with the GM food and when they are fed with the non-GM food, what are the changes that are observed in the broiler chicken. And then qualitative characterization. After all these studies, we compare whether the GM food is as safe as the non-GM or not. So if the answer is yes, as safe as the non-GM, then you proceed further. If the answer is no, if there are changes, significant changes, then you don't go further. So this is how whether the protein or the grain as a whole will cause toxicity or not is being evaluated. So animal test may not be required if you may not have to go for animal test if you know that the source from where you obtained the gene, it doesn't synthesize any toxic protein. The protein that the gene codes for has a history of safe use. Amino acid sequence analysis, the way we have done for allergies, the very same way it has been done for toxic protein, toxicity evaluation also. So it lacks any identity with the known toxin protein, sequence of the toxin proteins. Protein is easily digested, degraded. Okay, so you do simulation studies, gastric simulation studies, and if the protein gets digested easily, then typically the protein is not a toxic protein. Okay, typically proteins are unstable to heat and other processing. Okay, so a non-toxic protein is unstable to heat. It gets digested very quickly. A toxic or allergic protein, as mentioned over here, is not easily digested and is heat stable. So this is also a thumb rule. If it is not getting easily digested in simulation studies, gastric simulation studies, then it is a cause of concern. Okay. If it is not, if it is heat stable, then it is a cause of concern. Because typically proteins they get denatured very easily when you subject them to, when you provide heat, and they get easily digested also. Okay. So if the protein is showing all these characters, then probably you don't have to go for animal studies. So biosafety information that the regulator wants, they are now listed here. What are the things that the regulator will be required? Laboratory and greenhouse trials of the crop, back crossing method that has been used, seed setting characteristic, germination rates, phenotypic characteristic of the seeds, target gene efficiency test, toxicity and allergenicity implications, if any, during the handling. All these data, quantitative data, is required by the regulators of a given country. Similarly, what is the rationale? Why do you want to develop? You have to have a rationale for development, its economic, agronomic, and other benefits. Unless you have a solid rationale, the regulator won't accept it. For example, as I said, cotton is a very pesticide intensive crop. In the very same way, brinjal is also a very pesticide intensive crop. So you have to have a rationale. Details of the molecular biology of the genetically modified organism, description of the host plant, source and sequence of the transgenic. Okay, where do you obtain the gene? What is the sequence that is known? Cloning strategy, characteristic of the inserted gene, characteristics of the promoter, transformation, cloning method, genetic analysis. All these details are required. Then trials you have to do. Multi-locational trials are being conducted, and comparison of germination rates, phenotypic characteristic under different geoclimatic conditions with the non-GM. Study of gene flow or its invasiveness, possibility of weed information, possibility of transfer of transgene to near relatives through outcrossing and its implication, susceptibility to disease and pest, toxicity and allergenicity, studies feed safety evaluation, handling procedure, agronomic evaluation. All these data need to be submitted to the regulator. Now, what are the government guidelines? So all these studies are governed by different guidelines provided by the Government of India. Recombinant DNA Safety Guidelines 1990, Recombinant DNA Safety Guidelines and Regulations 1994, Revised Guidelines for Safety in Biotechnology 1994, Revised Guidelines for Research in Transgenic Plants 1998, and Guidelines for generating preclinical and clinical data for rDNA vaccines, diagnostics, and other biologicals 1999. And recently there has been one more, what you can say, revised guidelines that I have not included over here. So these are the various guidelines of Government of India. Similarly, what are the statutory bodies which look after all this, which monitor this GMO development in our country? So Recombinant DNA Advisory Committee, RDAC, Institutional Biosafety Committee. Every institution, including our university, whosoever does any, what you can say, genetic modification, whatever level, with the bacteria or whatever, has to have Institutional Biosafety Committee as per the format and as per the guidelines of Department of Science and Technology, Government of India. It has to be established. Its regular meetings are to be conducted, and its minutes are uploaded on the website. Then it's a very powerful committee, review committee on genetic manipulation. Any, what you can say, permission sought for any experiments to be conducted using genetically modified organism, or for generating genetically modified organism, you need to seek permission from RCGM. So it is a committee which comprises of experts in this particular field. So you need to submit the detailed protocol, all the details, and then they will provide you the formal permission to go for the experiments. And once you develop a genetically modified crop with all the information that we just enlisted in the last 3-4 slides, it has to be submitted to GEAC. This is the Apex Committee, Genetic Engineering Approval Committee, right? So this will evaluate your proposal and they will decide, they will recommend to the government whether the permission for its commercialization should be given or not. And the government of India will take final call on it based on the recommendation provided by the Genetic Engineering Approval Committee. So for example, Institutional Biosafety Committee, there is a composition. We have a IBSC University, North Maharashtra University, and we are the sort of, you can say, it is being regulated from School of Life Sciences. Then, for example, Jain Irrigation Systems Limited in Jalgaon, they have a institutional biosafety committee because they carry out some genetic modification. So they have to have that kind of a laboratory. They have to have a what you can say, biosafe greenhouse, contained greenhouse facilities. Pachora Nirmal Seeds Private Limited, because I was a member of their IBSC, they also have this institution. So any organization who wishes to conduct experiments, who wants to manipulate the genome, will have to establish this committee and will have to follow the guidelines given by different committees of the Government of India. And the ministries which are involved in this process: Ministry of Environment, Forest and Climate Change. It used to be Ministry of Environment and Forest, MOEF, but now they have extended the name. Ministry of Environment, Forest and Climate Change, Ministry of Science and Technology, Ministry of Agriculture, Ministry of Health and Family Welfare. So you can understand these are the most concerned ministries because we are talking about the environment, we are talking about the science and technology in our country. Agriculture Ministry will give the final approval for commercialization, and Ministry of Health and Family Welfare because it concerns with the human health. So that's all in this. So this is a overview of what are genetically modified crops, what are the risk parameters associated with it, and how the risk is evaluated, what are the guidelines as far as our country is concerned. We have a very robust regulatory system in place. What are the different government agencies, ministries which are involved in this particular process. Thank you very much.